I thank you very much for tuning in to That Will Never Work podcast. What if artificial intelligence wasn't here to replace creativity, but to reimagine it? My guest today, Mona, is on a mission to prove that when humans and AI collaborate, the result isn't less art, but is more human than ever before. We'll talk about it right after this.
Educate, empower, enable, impact. Thank you for tuning in to That Will Never Work, an award-winning podcast where we share inspiring information and personal experiences related to business and the entrepreneurial journey from those who are leaders in their respective field. Now, here's your host, author and business coach, Maurice.
So, our guest today is a creative strategist, futurist, and founder of Blue Apples AI, a company dedicated to exploring how artificial intelligence can elevate, not eliminate, human creativity. So, Mona, you spent years, ideas, months, days, whatever it might have been, at the intersection of technology and imagination. Can you take us back to a moment when you realized AI can amplify human creativity instead of replacing it?
Sure. First of all, thank you for having me on.
Sure.
And to answer your question, I think the first time that I realized it is I come from banking. So I have an
Mm.
MBA and I come from banking, and my world has always been living in these logical, structured
Hmm.
environments where things work. And as an entrepreneur, I always thought, let's have the business plan, let's have the numbers, let's have the business model, all of that
Hmm.
in order to have a successful business. The creative side, I always outsourced, or I had my team that worked on it.
Hmm.
And here comes AI. And I remember it was like late 2022 when I first sat down with ChatGPT. And at that time, it was nothing like it is today.
Sure enough.
And I started to play with it.
Hmm.
And I realized that me, a woman who has been an entrepreneur, who is in, I'm a Generation X, I won't tell you my specific age, but as a Generation Xer, I realized that, oh my God, I am a creative person.
Hmm.
And it's only because I was able to sit down and have a conversation, if you will,
Hmm.
and to get the research that before I would have had to do on, let's say, a Google, um, I was able to do with ChatGPT or with Claude or Gemini or whatever you will.
Hmm.
And then it said, okay, you know what? I like this title. So let me go deep and research it and then eventually write something about it.
Right.
I like that I have a gifting company. I like this concept of a box.
Hmm.
Let's see how I can make it realistic. I like this idea of an event, a
Hmm.
gathering. How are we going to be able to do it? So it's about, I don't believe that despite what people are doing today, you sit down in front of AI as a human and you walk away 100% resonating with whatever it is that your identity is.
Mm.
I think my fortunate strength was the fact that I'm a Generation Xer, that I didn't grow up in a world where we had technology at our disposal. I had to
Hmm.
use a library. I had to know
Yes.
how to go through the catalog
Yes.
of a library. We had encyclopedias. We had to write with pencil and pen, and we had one step at a time.
Hmm.
It wasn't that I didn't know how to do it. I got my MBA, so I had to learn how to do a marketing plan. I had to learn how to do a business plan. It wasn't like you did a pitch deck with now that
Mm.
you can sit in front of ChatGPT and do it with less than an hour, maybe.
Right.
It's not like that anymore. It wasn't like that at my time.
Hmm.
So I like to write, so I knew what it was to write. I like to read, so I know what my voice is.
Hmm.
I know what resonates. I know what my target audience likes. So all of that is the human aspect. And I think until businesses, entrepreneurs, leaders, managers don't understand what their uh, competences are,
Hmm.
what the values of the company is, uh, what is it that their mission is, if they can't bring all of that together, then they can't successfully implement AI,
Mhm.
nor can they communicate to their audience. Because then
Mm.
you have to imagine that we become just a number. So our content becomes an oversaturated drop in an ocean of contents.
Mm.
And so people will say, okay, I don't know how you are, but if you read the first sentence of most emails or most blogs or most of anything, you say, oh, I know ChatGPT wrote that, or
Mhm.
I know an
Mhm.
AI wrote that, because
Mm.
it's not. There's this LLM language
Mhm.
that most people say, okay, this is it.
Mhm. Mhm.
So my first encounter was learning that, you know what, understanding that it's there as a tool
Mhm.
where it can serve as me, who I know a lot about myself because I've done the work. Today I can sit and easily communicate and say, you know what, no, 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 this is not how I want it, that's how I want it.
Mhm.
So I don't believe that until today we can ever really remove the human aspect
Right.
if we want to be successful with AI.
And so, first, I just would like to say to my fellow Gen Xer, we're in the same boat.
Yeah.
But I'm saying that because I was just with a client the other day, and that organization is a nonprofit community organization, and they have a learning program, GED, all those type of things for adults who needs to go back to school and finish off their high school diploma, things like that. And I had asked them a question: Are you implementing any part of that to AI? Just an idea, it doesn't have to take over the whole thing, just a little piece of that. And now they're older than I am, about 20 years, I guess, and average age. And as soon as I said that, you would have thought I was fussing them out. That I have said something totally against them. I called them out of their name or whatever it is. So my question to you would be, why do you feel like people feel like it's a threat rather than a partner in anything that they try to implement or whatever they're looking for in the future? Why do they feel so intimidated?
That's a great question, Maurice. And I think the reason is, in general, anything that we feel is a threat
Mm-hmm.
or we feel uncomfortable with, I think it's first because we don't have enough information about it or
Mm-hmm.
knowledge about it. And second, we don't feel confident around it. So, I mean, for a very basic example, if you go into an environment, a group, networking event, you initially might feel uncomfortable because you don't know who's going to be there.
Mm-hmm.
You're all on your own. You don't know what you're going to talk about. You don't know how the vibe is going to be. So there's that feeling,
Mm-hmm.
right? It's when you go and you actually start to live it and you actually start to experience it that you start to get more comfortable. You start to understand what your positioning is in all of it.
Mm-hmm.
And I think most people right now are resistant to it. And I can say this from personal experience, not with AI, but I remember when the whole internet bubble came, e-commerce, I'm like, oh, this is such a fad. It's not going to last. Or when social media happened,
Mm-hmm.
no, are you kidding people? Our privacy is important.
Right.
Here we are today, and it hasn't been that long. I mean, the internet, let's say, was the early 90s,
Mm-hmm.
that
Mm-hmm.
we
Mm-hmm.
officially as people started to use it.
Mm-hmm.
So what are we talking about? 20, 30 years?
Yeah, it's still
And then we
young.
had social media, that was 20 years. I mean, this growth has been so exponential,
Right.
uh, that we it's obvious and it's also acceptable that we
Mm-hmm.
would become uncomfortable or resistant to it. The first time, and I'm one of those people, I tend to resist. And then because I feel threatened by it, I say, oh no, this is horrible.
Mm-hmm.
But this time with AI, and I did it also with Web3 and
Mm.
NFTs, and I wanted to dive in. And I think it's because I'm older
Mm-hmm.
and I have more experience. And the second thing is, uh, it's such a vast land
Mm-hmm.
filled with possibilities. So back in the days, like in the 1800s, I think it was the 1800s, where you could go and you could take a flag and claim land in the United States. And that would be your plot of land, and you could start building. So they were just giving it away for free.
Mm-hmm.
I almost feel like we're living in that same era, this
Mm.
whole new world where the land is there. Go ahead and plant your flag because nobody knows what you're going to create.
Mm-hmm.
There is today, to this day, no one is really an expert on AI
Right.
or the future of AI. So where is it that we decide that why can't I be one of those experts?
Hmm.
Why can't I say, this is the take I'm going to have on AI? This is my perspective. And so I think instead of like fearing it, I was talking to a friend of mine
Mm-hmm.
earlier before I got on this call, and she's a very successful lawyer in California. And she's like, I don't understand any of this AI, the work that you're doing with your agency. I don't get it. It's so foreign to me. And I'm like, you know what? Just sit down and say to ChatGPT with the simplest question, do you know Mona Bavar?
Mm-hmm.
And it will say, yes, Mona Bavar, because it searches the web, right?
Right.
And it says, Mona Bavar is this, this, and this, and this, and this. And then you say, okay, I'm thinking about changing my career path,
Mm-hmm.
or I'm thinking about buying a new house, or this is my, and then you start to give it the information you want,
Right.
like a recipe,
Right.
step by step by step, in order for you to get the end result, the chocolate mousse that you want to get, or whatever it is that you want to get. So you go through this and then you say, oh, you become friends.
Mm-hmm.
And then you say, let me explore other things. Let me go deeper. Let me stay shallow. Let me go here. Let me go there. And then you don't know what's going to come out of it.
Right.
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 So that human part is giving life to something that is going to work for you, not you working for it. So I think that's the
Mm.
thing where we just need to learn it and understand that it's not at all. I always tell our clients when they come into the agency, because we're so focused on the human side,
Mm-hmm.
and me and my partners, we all come from a background where it's all about the human side.
Mm-hmm.
And because we're older, we understand that you need to know who you are before you can be successful in anything you want to do. And
Mm.
so when we go through that, the first thing we say is, okay. And that's always each single person. The first thing that we start with is, let's ask the AI, who are you?
Mm-hmm.
Who is your business? What is your business? What are the brand values? What are your KPIs?
Mm-hmm.
All of that. And you'd be surprised what comes out of it.
Right.
And from there, you start to loosen up. And you're like, it's like going on a blind date, and you have the
Right.
first drink and you feel much more relaxed. And it's the same kind of step by step, you start to get relaxed and gain confidence and feel more secure. And then it's no longer a threat. So I think
Mm.
that's what it comes from.
And so I know from my own experiences, just speaking to other people about AI, and understanding that their limitation to it is that they put themselves in their own box. And so
Exactly.
I get to hear, hey, maybe you're not as creative or imaginative as you think you really are. We sometimes we don't understand that our circumstances, the breakfast table mentality, that we kind of put ourselves in this place. And I think AI allows us to explore something that's totally different. And so when I was talking to that organization, I said to them, did you not laugh and joke at the Jetsons? Did you not look at them? Right? We grew up on that, right? And so we've
Exactly.
seen it all this time. And so now that it's really here and is quote unquote in your face, not realizing we've been dealing with AI probably since all the way back then. We just didn't call it AI. And so I think that's some of the things that we're dealing with is that we've been conditioned in a certain way. And so, how do we unlearn those behaviors, Mona? Because we've been dealing with it. Even like you said, being a banker, you know that, hey, I got to do like, this, and this all day, every day. And so, unfortunately, we're so trained. So, how do we become untrained in those places?
Um, I'm working on it. Still, as someone who's in our, let's say, the one of the last chapters, I'm still working on it, and I
Hmm.
think it's a work in progress. And it's never, you don't ever stop unlearning
Hmm.
what you think or you feel doesn't serve you, and decide to learn something that you think will enhance you
Hmm.
or elevate you or improve your quality of life. So there are people that I see, and we all see because of Instagram or whatever it is, that she's maybe 80 years old and she's
Hmm.
decided, you know what, I'm going to start working out and become a bodybuilder.
Hmm.
I'm 70 years old and I'm going to start dating again. I'm, I don't know, 60 years old and I'm going to go and get a doctorate in X, Y, and Z.
Hmm.
So I think it's when it's character and how you
Mm.
want to build your character. So there are people that are 20 years old, but they're living life like an 80-year-old.
Yes.
There are people that are 80 years old and are living life like a 20-year-old.
Hmm.
So it's about a psychological decision,
Hmm.
a conscious decision to, you know what, I'm going to change the way I perceive things.
Hmm.
I'm going to change. And we all do this kind of like self development journey.
Hmm.
And I think that's the beauty of entrepreneurship, because true entrepreneurship, I think, is more of a journey within
Hmm.
and how we grow as individuals. And because you have to understand, with entrepreneurship, you have to deal with rejection.
Hmm.
You have to deal with your limiting beliefs, with the voices that are always telling you, you know what, you're not good enough, or you're this, you're that. What are you doing? Uh, all the obstacles that we put, the box that you mentioned that you
Hmm.
live in, where you're like, this is the way it has to be because this is what I was taught.
Right.
But then you say, you know what? No, I can also, it's my decision, right? As human beings, we have this freedom of choice,
Hmm.
right?
Right.
Regardless if we live in a democracy or not, we can choose every day for ourselves. Am I going to have a glass of water,
Hmm.
or am I going to have a glass of wine?
Hmm.
Am I going to eat fast food, or am I going to go eat something healthy? So it's always this choice that we can make. And it's difficult. It requires discipline. It requires consistency, uh,
Mm.
an open mind. It's not comfortable really to live in this kind of like discomfort until then you can become comfortable again.
Mm.
So I think it's not, there's no magic
Hmm.
key. And that's when you start to resist. That's when you start to feel threatened. And so you become negative
Mm.
and you say, I don't want it. I don't like it. This is it. Like me. When I'm telling you, Instagram or internet, social media, step by step, I rejected it. I'm like,
Mm.
no, no way. And why? Because I'm rejecting it. The world's going to reject it.
Hmm.
And now, hindsight, I look back and I'm like, oh my God, I should have done it. If
Mm.
I had done it, look where I would have been today.
Hmm.
So it's these things. I think that's it's every decision we make in life that can either improve our lives
Hmm.
or just leave us the way we are.
So I think I know for myself, I've been able to embrace it a little bit more because I remember back in elementary school when I was on an Apple II computer with Pascal and making little things dance and run across the screen and all those type of things. And so I know for myself, I have been able to adjust a little bit more to it because I'm into the technology, all those type of things. Um, and but as I have, even for myself, I felt intimidated or not sure of AI because of some of the things that were coming up. I think I'm private. You know, I try not to have a whole bunch of information online, but you don't realize that, hey, you know what, there's really more out there than you think or that you consider. So I started to embrace it a little bit more. I think that's one of the things that some of us are dealing with. Hey, I really don't want my profile. I don't want my
Sure.
information out there. So there's a level of, hey, I need to have up this wall no matter how I feel, but there's technology being broken into all the time. We don't realize how much information really is out there about us. And so I think that's some of the things that I have personally dealt with. And as I'm hearing those other organizations, especially those that are, because of my focus have been nonprofits and religious organizations. Some of those individuals are just a little bit older, may not be so much into technology, and so they're a little more resistant because of the fear of, as you're talking about, the unknown.
Sure, of course, which is understandable, right?
Right, right,
But like I said, it's going to be there, and there's always going to be the naysayers.
right.
But then there's also the ones that you can, even the people that right now are in the world of AI, a lot of them are very negative towards AI.
Hmm.
And so it's all about perspective and how you decide to see something. It goes back to the same classic example of glass half full or half empty,
Right, right.
right?
But I think one of the things that we need to consider, especially as entrepreneurs, is that because technology changes and evolves, embrace it just a little because you don't want to be too far behind, behind your industry or whatever it is. So I think that we have to embrace it. We don't have to like give it the biggest hug like it's a holiday dinner type thing, right? I haven't seen it in a long time, but just enough so we can say, hey, we know it enough to now we can take our organization to another level.
Exactly, exactly. I totally agree with you. And so it's inevitable. At some point, you have to. I mean,
Right.
look, I ended up having to get into it with social media. Maybe I'm not an influencer,
Hmm.
but I ended up having to use it for
Right.
professional purposes. I'm not, I wasn't someone totally into the internet or e-commerce, but Google became our crutch, right?
Right. It did. Most
And
definitely. um,
so I think AI will be the same thing. I mean, I see my parents, they're in their late 70s, early 80s, and they are always talking to ChatGPT. I'm not kidding. And so you say, okay, great. Like my mom will say, oh, my knee hurts. Let me ask ChatGPT. They
mhm.
upload their blood works or they'll have
Ooh.
conversations, they'll come
Hmm.
up with ideas. My mom brainstorms with ChatGPT to write a book. And so you say it's the possibilities are endless.
Hmm.
And so that's the beauty of it.
Hmm.
I think for me, I love this where you don't have to be constrained to what could have been
Right.
because it allows you to almost have a constant reset button.
Mm. Mm. That's a good point. I like that analogy because sometimes we do need that reset every now and then, especially if we're
Exactly.
getting down, we're depressed, we feel like we can't go anywhere else. Sometimes we just want to press that button. Now we can't press it so we can go back 20 years. No, we can't do that. Not
No,
yet, anyway.
exactly.
But mom, I gotta say, congratulations, mom. I applaud you. For
Exactly.
embracing it. But Mona, I thank you very much for coming on the show. Please share with everyone where they can find you and talk more about this AI that some of us are a little nervous about.
Yes, you can visit us on blueapples.ai, and that's where we try to bring AI and humans together in a way that feels comfortable for the humans and also productive.
Mm,
So, and I think it's something that most businesses need because you don't want to become, like I said, another drop in this abyss of
right.
content. And you want your customers to always feel like they're a part of a community.
Hmm.
And these are the things that uh, will always be needed and will always stand out.
Mm. Thank you very much. I like that. I like that, Mona. I appreciate that.
Thank you. I'm happy I could help.
But as we close out, all of you well knows that I have my question. And Mona, again, use your creative space. Feel free to answer this question however you choose. But would you rather choose three doors or a fork in the road?
That's a good question. That's a very Probably a fork in the road
Okay, and why with a fork?
because it's one or the other, right?
It's up to you.
Whereas, huh?
It's
Yeah,
up
yeah,
to you.
yeah. It's the fork in the road is you're either going to go in one direction or
Right.
the other
Mm-hmm.
direction. Three doors, you have to choose. The paradox of choice comes in. So one is two choices and the
Mm-hmm.
other one is three. So I
Mm-hmm.
think I would like to limit my choices
Mm.
and have the fork in the road.
Okay. Okay. Nice.
And I think it's also the fork in the road, you at least can know a little bit of what's on that road, at least
Mm.
initially. Whereas the door is just a door. You don't know what you're going to open it up to.
Hmm. So if I ask you to take it another level creatively, where would you go? Be- Because remember, use your imagination. There is no box. There is no spoon mentality, right? So
Right?
could you see a little further down the road if you really wanted to? Did you see the movie Inception
Yes.
so could you actually see the road going up? That's why that's why I said there's no box. Just use your imagination. So could there be a fork and another fork and another fork? I don't know.
But there could, and I hope
Right.
there would be,
Mm-hmm.
because the whole purpose is, listen, we all have our objectives in life.
Mm-hmm.
We all have our goals that we have or our visions, and it changes
Mm-hmm.
as you go down this road, whatever the road may be, it changes.
Mm-hmm.
But at least you know that the road is going to take you somewhere. A door, uh, for me, it would be limiting
Mm.
because it would be three doors, and I'll open one, and I'll always wonder what's on the other sides,
Mm.
what the other two doors were behind. But the road, eventually, whatever path I choose, it's going to maybe bring me back to the other path somewhere because
Mm.
always there's going to be these intersections. So
Right.
I'll go straight and then maybe I'll choose make a right instead of a left.
Mm-hmm.
And then at any point I can then make another left or a right. So
Mm.
I see it more as an endless possibility
Mm.
of uh, of possibilities.
Okay. No, I appreciate that. I just want, because everyone processes that question differently. Because, Mona, in all reality, could the doors be glass?
Ah, yes, you're right. You're right. You're totally right.
But unfortunately, when we think about these obstacles, we see it in the literal because you might turn left and you might see the door, so that, where you're sitting. So is that your vision? Is that your ultimately you're seeing what's right in front of you versus, hey, if I really sat back and think about it, close my eyes, is it glass? Or the door's already open? We don't know.
Yeah, we
So
don't. You're absolutely right. Yeah. I didn't even think that far.
That's why I asked if you had a moment to really think about it, how far would you go?
Yeah.
You know? So no, but I appreciate the way you answered though, because a lot of us, even for myself, I would have thought the same way. Hey, I'm eventually gonna get to where my actual destination is.
Yeah, that's true. Good question, though. Excellent question.
But I thank you very much for coming on and playing around with that question with me.
Thank you. Thank you for having me on and for
Cool.
such an engaging conversation.
Sure, no problem. And I thank y'all very much for listening to That Will Never Work. Of course, Mona's information will be in the show notes. And so, of course, we're doing this thing where we want to end off with a challenge to all of you that are listening. The next time you use technology, whether it's your phone, an app, or an AI tool, ask yourself, how can this amplify my imagination instead of automating my life? And then number 2, experiment with curiosity. The future belongs to those who ask, what if, instead of asking, what now? So I thank y'all very much for listening, and I'll talk to you just a little bit later.
Thanks for listening. Follow Maurice Chisholm on social media to stay connected and check back weekly for new episodes. Until next time, that will never work. Or will it?